Hello. I see it doesn't show you the monitor unless you turn the microphone. Sorry, Hello, and welcome to Garblag Games. Let's turn that music off. Okay, right. So, this is the first time streaming to YouTube in a long time. Did a little technical test yesterday, and now we are going to be doing a bit more on YouTube. I'll take these off because I can hear myself. And the idea is that our lovely subscribers on YouTube, we wanted to give some stuff to you guys live. So Thursday nights I'm going to be streaming on YouTube for you guys, so that's cool. And next week we're starting a new show, the Heroic Deeds playtest. What's Heroic Deeds? That's my game that I'm developing, which is a D&D rebuild. Character leveling is based on goals, and loads of other stuff has been changed, but hopefully for the better, or in a way that creates a good playing experience. And tonight I wasn't quite ready to start, give myself a little bit of time, but I thought what I'd do is pop on, do a bit of dev fun and chat to you guys. So if you have anything you want to chat about, put it in the chat. We can chat about stuff. Otherwise I'm going to get on and start doing it. Cool. Okay, right. Now I've got to fiddle about a bit with my OBS, because normally I use just OBS Studio, but today I'm using Streamlabs OBS. Slightly different, same thing, basically slightly different. There's a few tricks and buttons that are just different labeled and that kind of thing. It all does the same stuff. So what I'm gonna do is just need to set up my window capture. There we go. Add a window. Let's have a new one. We're gonna have our Heroic Deeds, and that is going to yes, that's going to sit like that. That's going to come back here. And sorry, just arranging my camera and trying to get to a position where you guys can see me and what I'm working on. That's the main goal. Let's have a look. I'll chop this down a little bit. Hopefully you'll see this soon, and we can go. Hey, hello. Right, cool. Okay, so this is Heroic. I usually use Streamlabs. So much game. Oh, okay. Did you change your profile picture between comments? That's weird. Yeah, I mean they're both good. They're both fine. The reason I'm using Streamlabs tonight is because I don't want to mess around with my OBS Studio setup for streaming on Twitch, because I produce for Wednesday nights, and I want to have effectively one setup for Twitch and one setup for YouTube. And although you can switch between them and various kind of things, I find because they do the same stuff, it's just easier if I go, that's connected to Twitch and I don't play around with that, and that's connected to YouTube and I don't play around with that. It's just how my brain works sometimes. Right, I'm going to crack a beer open. Here we go. How are you doing, Lewis? Hopefully you are good and well. And looking forward to next Thursday. I'm going to have Lewis, Roger, Simon and Leon playing in the Heroic Deeds playtest. Lewis is going to be the Cleric, Roger the Fighter, Simon is the Thief, and Leon is the Magic User. Slight difference with Heroic Deeds is that level 1 and 2 are kind of beginner levels, intro levels as it were, to get you used to the game, get you into the feats, the deeds, how it all works. And then at level 3 all the classes branch, and let me scroll up a bit, hopefully not too fast, tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast. And what you can see here on the screen is that each of the classes branches out. You can stay as a cleric, or you can become a druid, a light bearer, a monk, or an oathsworn. So, and it explicitly says, you know, level 1 and 2 are there for people who don't know the game, they want to come in, they don't want to have too many choices, so you pick one of 4 classes and then you go from there. If you've played this several times, then jump in at 3rd level, pick which branch you want to have gone down, and then you can retroactively select the deeds that have gotten you there. So you can then say, right, I'm a ranger, so I'm going to have the targeteer feat. I don't want the heavy armor proficiency, but I do want to have this and that. So you can kind of tailor it if you want to come in at 3rd level. But obviously those first 2 levels are formative, and you learn things about yourself that you would not otherwise know when you are very stressed and you only have 4 hit points. No one's only going to have 4 hit points. Cool. So, very quick recap. Although I'm not sure how many people we've got in chat. I think it's me and Lewis at the moment. That's fine. That is fine. 8 people watching. Okay, cool. Where was I? So, some changes, some things the same. 3 levels of proficiency goes up as you level. A mixture of Pathfinder 2 and D&D 5th edition. Only 10 skills, but they each have 3 specialties. You will get benefits, bonuses to specialties based on feats and other things as you go up. No attributes, just modifiers. So your attribute is the +2 rather than having a 15 or a 16. You just have a number. So it can therefore, I can cut the word modifier out of a lot of places. So instead of saying plus your constitution modifier, you say plus your constitution, and you simply add it on. The attributes numbers were there just as a holdover, so not really needed anymore. Target class instead of armor class. If you wear lots of armor that you're not proficient in, you'll be easy to hit, but you will have damage reduction, so that's cool. We're going to have 3 action combat like Pathfinder 2. It'll be slightly less convoluted than, well, slightly less convoluted than Pathfinder 2. There's a lot of options, but we will go from there. Just putting a few ancestries in: dwarf, elf, hobgoblin, human, just to start it off. In the playtest, I'm not saying that one of each of those has to be played. I'm only saying that Roger has to be an elf. You get some hit points, you get an attribute boost, and 1 that you can pick for yourself, so it could be anything. And you get a skill proficiency, and then languages. Yeah, so some basics, and then you get to pick 2 out of 3 of the feats, and some of them are kind of standard as you'd think, and some of them are slightly different. I need to have a think about the elf. Slight change to that. I may in fact give them a resistance to save death saves against verdance effects. Hobgoblin, yes, Lewis. Hobgoblin is indeed an ancestry you can play, and I believe that you're going to be an Hobgoblin Cleric, which is going to be awesome. Backgrounds are, at the moment, because it's a playtest, just there for kind of flavour and some starting equipment and money. So you can kind of add that to your roleplay for now, and then I might put some more bonuses and things in there. But I think what I'll probably just do is have a bit more of a description of each one, get some artwork in there. That'll be a nice thing. And you can pick one of those, and it's kind of what you did before adventuring. And the whole idea with Heroic Deeds is you're an adventurer. You're out there doing awesome things, searching dungeons, taking down bad guys, reconsecrating defiled shrines and all that good stuff. So you're kind of, what you did in your life before is kind of not as important and won't generally give you that much stuff, but it might. And I need to, as we go along and as I change certain elements, I have to go back and rechange some of this. And yes, I'm writing this straight into a PDF. I've got loads of notes. So I've got a notebook over here. I've got a Google Doc as well. I'm just showing you this document rather than all the gubbins behind, because it's kind of, it's a bit messy, bit of a mess. And I'm trying to then kind of note form in Google Doc and then write nice into the layout. Cleric. So that what I should, and I actually had a really good conversation with Leon the other day about magic in the World Mountain setting, because it's going to be set in that. At first I was thinking just make it generic, but then I'm an egomaniac, so I thought no, I'm going to put my world on it. And also it really helps to context things. You kind of lose a bit of kind of flavour if you have to make things very generic. So I put the World Mountain on, and there's 2 types of magic in the World Mountain. You've got Divine and Arcane. Hey, that's brand new, Pete. Well done. Well done for thinking of that. Well, in the World Mountain, gods are real. It's one of the things I liked about Planescape setting, and it's kind of one of the influences on my universe, was that you could go out there and you could find the gods, and they're real. Their effect is felt. Their domains are created by their presence, and the world around them is distorted by their magic. So in the World Mountain game, Pantheon, there are a set number of gods. They have some heroes beneath them who were from the Age of Challenge, who were mortals whose deeds were so heroic that they became demigods, in effect. And that's in there because the game's called Heroic Deeds. I want the players to feel like maybe one day their deeds might be so heroic that they could become, deified as megalomaniac, because that is as well. So you got Divine, you got Arcane. Divine magic is literally like heat coming off of the gods. It's power. They are raw power. They are energy manifest, and this kind of spreads out from each of the gods, each of the powers. There are gods and powers. Some of them are with intent, and some of them are without, or without kind of personification, like Oku, which is shadow. So this power kind of leaks out from all these different sources, and at different parts of the world it overlaps, and in some places it overlaps more than others, and you get what's called a divine locus. And these divine loci dotted around the World Mountain can either be in a person, and that makes a cleric, or it can be in a thing or a place. So you might find a sacred or power-empowered location, or you might find an object that is a locus of divine power. The other source of magic is the arcane, which is runic magic, and it's all about naming things and understanding their nature, putting that name on them, and it draws magical energy in. This is how spells are conjured, writing down of scrolls, or literally drawing runes in the air. This intoning of names and using of names gives the magic user power. It's a very specific power. Whereas a cleric power is more about life and energy flow around them. So they've got different flavors, but then adding on top of that, I was thinking I wanted to have 2 types of magical items. And I had a good chat with Leon. Thank you, Leon, if you're watching back later or if you're in the chat now. Where they will be 2 types of magic items. The first, those that are considered magical because they have done such great deeds with these items, or been in the hands of heroes, or been on the worst battlefield and gain a curse and all that kind of stuff. This will be a raw divine power that's within them, and you will be able to start to define what that magic is. So in the magic items section, for example, there'll probably be like a whole number of generic deeds that you could use to add a magical effect to a weapon. So deeds are what's done to level up in heroic deeds. So we'll just have a look at the cleric here. Survive 5 battles against multiple opponents. You've got 5 circles to colour in there there's going to be character sheets with these on. Make 3 successful athletic skill checks. 3 circles to fill in. Once you've done those, you gain a hit die. You don't have to wait to level 2 to gain a hit die. You just gain a hit die because as you get tougher, you get tougher. This needs to change because that's changed in fighter as well. Now the thing is, you don't have to see, we've got armored, got battle cleric there. This is a note I made last time and I didn't follow up on it. Armored warrior, here we go. So that one needs to change. Gain novice proficiency in heavy armor, there we go. And battle cleric, I need to have a think about what that's going to be, because the broad shoulders feat is going away. Anyway, so for example, bless you my child. Use blessing 8 times on other members of the party. Now the party is a concept in the game as well, and it will often refer to that. So the fighter has a goal that says take the most damage in the party 5 times, and then you get the defender trait because you've been standing in front of all the blows, you've been taking all the hits, you're the one who's taking all the pain. So you get used to it. You get you start to get an ability where you can like jump in the way of arrows and block other people's attacks and that kind of thing. So that's a goal, that's a deed as part of your class. There will be deeds as part of locations and skills. So skills deeds will be separate of your class, and anyone can spend their time crafting and build their craft up independent of everything else. But then also for magic items, the kind of generic divine magic items will have a set of deeds that you can complete. Once you find one of these items and you realize it's magical, you can then start to put some of your completed tasks or goals, those pips, into a magic item to make it more powerful. So you could pick one, and this is what we're saying, there'll be like a menu of them, and one of them might be, Keen Blade, defeat 10 opponents with this sword, with this weapon gains a +1 to hit or +1 to damage or something like that. And there'll be a set of them, and some of them will only be applicable to weapons, some of them will be applicable to armor, and then some will have kind of generic utility powers. And you'll be able to say, oh cool, I'm a warrior, I'm a great warrior, I'm going to start doing great deeds with this sword that I found. It's magic, but I don't know what it is. And you could play it narratively, so either it's always been that way and you unlock it, or your deeds mean it's juiced up in that direction. So we're going to have that kind of going on. And then with arcane magic items, they're going to be devised by magic users. There will be runic, and they will have specific abilities attached to them. So they'd be made for someone to do specific things. And you will be able to make rolls to unlock and understand the powers of a magic item, of a runic item rather than a magic item. That may be how I refer to them. I'm not sure. But I thought chatting that through with Leon was really cool, because that was like, I thought that was a good moment. I was like, yeah, no, that's cool. I really like that idea for magic items. So it's not just always the same thing. It's down to you what your magic item becomes based on what you do with it and what heroic deeds you undertake. I've also going to have I'm working on adventures, like an adventure for this playtest. Not an adventure to go in the playtest, an adventure to use for our streaming, really. And what we'll have is villages and locations will have influence spend that you can earn influence through various things, such as defeating the local tribe of goblins will get you 1 point of influence with the village. And then at the village, you could spend your influence to gain certain benefits. And obviously you then sort of play this out narratively. But some of them were like, if you have to get 5 influence points. So goal, gain 5 influence points. Some of them might have a particular requirement, like have a magic user or have a thief, that kind of thing. And you would have things like capable defenders. The villagers decide that you are capable defenders and want your help in protecting the village going forward. And therefore, they give you a discount at the blacksmith, at the weaponsmith, so that you are tooled up. So you can say, all right, I've done these adventures, done this stuff. And again, you can do this. You can do it quite transactionally, or you could kind of build a narrative around it. And all of this is to kind of prompt ideas, adventure hooks, give DMs stuff that they'll be able to use. And then you'd be able to, when you create a village, you could set up a series of influence unlocks. And this kind of came from Pathfinder 2, when I was looking at their various systems they have around research points, and I did the work point system. You could, allocate a certain number of points to build palisades or to repair a structure, that kind of thing. I thought this is quite cool, but I wanted to do something a bit more sort of quest-based, really, and have it so that you can, as a party, you can go, well, we've done all these missions, they really like us. What is it that they're wanting to give us back? And obviously, that's something that we want, So I've come up with like do-gooders. The temple give you access to healing magic. Capable defenders, discount with the weaponsmith. Attract hirelings. You get low-level companions like minions that join your party. You need a fighter to get that reward. You need a fighter in your party, and you need a cleric in your party for the temple to give you access to healing magic. Test subjects. They allow you to purchase magic items that they are not sure what they are. Loyalty scheme. Look, I thought it was that little card. The general store in the village gives you a discount. Draw attention. You get access to a gambling den, and research grant. You get access to the wizard's tower. And then what I would do with some of those is allow you to have a downtime effect and say, if you spend a day at the gambling den, you can earn some money. Or if you spend a day at the wizard's tower, you can then fill in a cast spell dot on one of your own deeds on your class, and that would mean you're progressing if you have downtime. I'd probably have like a practice ground, an archery range, those kinds of things. You get access to the barracks, basically. That allows you to train and every 24 hours you can get a defeat one opponent ticked off. So those kinds of things. So I'm trying to think of ways that these can all work together, and I think it's quite a cool little system that will get people sort of. I think sometimes players can be a little bit like, what are we doing, where are we going, you know, whereas if they've got goals and they've got things they're trying to go after, and they think, well, I want to become a druid, or I've got to get naturalist, but what other deeds do I want to complete? Well, I want to get adept in training because that gives me a hit die, and I want to get acolyte in training at first level because that gives me a hit die, and hit die are useful because you spend hit dice on things in this game. They are your special stamina juice. Magic users use them to cast spells, or they consume runic items. Clerics use them to do blessing on people. Fighters use them to recover hit points, and thieves use them to temporarily increase their target class and evasion save, to make them stealthy. And I wanted the spending of that to reflect, you know, to emphasize the behavior of the character. What's the special thing they can do? A fighter being able to recover, you know, take a breath. In the heat of battle, you take a moment to compose yourself, recovering your stamina at a vital moment. Spend action 1, so it takes one of your 3 actions. Spend a hit die. Cool. Roll 1d6 and recover that many hit points. Generally, in this, when you roll a hit die, I've had to flatten it out at 1d6 because the thief rolls a hit die to add to their target class. The fighter rolls a die to recover hit points, you know, and they may all roll dice as well, you know, spend a hit die to roll something to get something back. I didn't want it to be that the fighter would get a d10 and everything that they do with their hit dice gives them a d10. I have to figure that in, whereas a wizard would only get a d4, a magic user would only get a d4. So just those kinds of things, just thinking about, it may or may not be correct. We'll find out. We'll see. Let's see. Just checking the stream's going okay. Yep. Okay, cool. Just reminding people that we're here. I'm live on YouTube. Here we go. Just in case people are over at Twitch going, where is Pete? You never know. You never know. All fine. Cool. Right. So, I think I'm largely okay with what we've done so far. For Cleric's the only one I've got level 2 deeds and their heroic deeds. The heroic deed is to get to level 3. We started doing the spells. I've got the first 4 sorted. We need to sort out the other 3 or 4. Clerics begin with 2 spells, and there are 2 opportunities to gain a spell, to have a minor revelation at first level and second level. So by the time you get to 3rd level, you will have 4 spells. However, each spell has 3 variations where you spend 1 action or a reaction for some of them, 2 actions or 3 actions, and the more actions you spend, the bigger the effect. For clerics, they have to watch out how many actions they use, because when you're able to cast divine magic, select 2 spells. You're able to use these spells with the cast spell action. You may do this a number of times equal to 2 plus your level without any side effect or impediment. Beyond that, every time you cast a spell, see, I'm starting to think that's probably, I might just put equal to your level, because then I can actually boost that up later. Beyond that, every time you cast a spell, you must roll to see if you have called upon divine energy too frequently today. A failure on this roll causes you to lose use of this feat until the next day. So basically, you're kind of drawing on this divine energy that's overlapping and coming around you and part of your being. But have you done it a bit much? So when you, after your first casting, after that, you have to make a roll versus DC 10 plus a number of spell actions used today. So that first spell we want to cast for free is do a 3 action spell. After that, you're rolling against a DC 13. Now you're rolling D20 plus your wisdom plus divine magic proficiency. Your divine magic proficiency at first level will be 1. Wisdom could be +3, +4, so you might have +4 or +5. So you know you're going to fail that on a 7 or an 8. 7 or less. So you've got a 35% chance of failure. So you know that's not too bad. But then as you do more spells, you can push your luck as a cleric basically, and see how much you can draw upon it. Now, as you go up levels, you'll get more feats that mean you can do better stuff. Hey John, thanks for joining us. How are you doing? Hope all is well, our Antipodean friend. Yeah, so blessing allows you to choose one willing person within a certain distance to get a bonus, whereas prayer feat will make this an action 3, but means a number of people equal to your level can accept the blessing within range. Things like that. So there's going to be the framework, and all these things will build off of it. Okay, Cleric Spells, Fighter. In fact, let me get that old Google Doc out and see what we were doing with the Fighter level 2, because that might be interesting to take a look at as well. We need to get down to the Thief at some point and do the Thief Deeds. Thief Deeds. Yeah, here we go. This is the one. It's cold and rainy down here. Doing okay. Yeah, it's been super hot here. Not so much today. It's been a lot better. So we got 41 degrees, I think it got to on Monday. It's crazy. Just very hot and not fun. Where are we? First level. No, it wasn't in there. It was in something else. Sorry about this, everybody. Let's have a look. We had. Okay. Here we go. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Strong arm, big target. We had changed things round a little bit. Armored warrior, yeah. Basic forms, yeah. Good eye. No, that was actually level 2. Hero in training, yes. Meat shield, yes. Strong arm, yes. Big target. 8 outnumbered combatants in melee combat. We had one about creating a distracting strike. So basically trying to get you to think tactically and outnumber opponents and defeat outnumbered opponents, so kind of ganging up on people, and then it would give you a distracting strike feat, which you could do. You could attack someone, and then if you were successful and dealt damage on them, they would also get a -2 to their target class, I believe. That was the goal there. So you're kind of like really a big combat presence, you know, and they can't really turn away from you. And then what do we have for level 2? So we had basic forms 2. Yeah. Then Good Eye is there. Bullheaded. Successfully shove 5 combatants in melee combat. Gain a shield strike feat. Dual Wielder. Defeat 8 combats in melee combat while wielding 2 weapons. Gain the dual strike feat. Tactical Expert. In 8 battles begin combat. Well, I'll need to change that because I've changed the initiative. Veteran. Survive 5 battles. Make 5 successful saving throws. Gain a hit die. So that was level 2 for the fighter. Let's get my pages out. Let's copy. Let's copy that. Duplicate the page, and then let's drag it up to the end of fighter. There we go. Here we go. Now, tell me if my typing is too loud, because that would be most annoying. See, this is weird. I've jumped in on fighter rather than carrying on with thief. Here we go. Let's get rid of the lovely artwork from Mustafa Bakir, I must point out, while we're here. It's been really great. We've had a great conversations about the characters and what they look like. So they really kind of captured the style. So with the magic user image you've got here, Chothog, the hobgoblin magic user, you can see the runic writing in the scroll, and it's being consumed as the magical power is being created. So I wanted it to really be thematic for the game, which is great. This is fantastic. Right, where's my chat gone? My chat has disappeared. Nope, not there. I know where it is. It is back here. Let's pop this here. Yep. We had a storm and a brief spell of rain most of the day. It was glorious. Oh, this month's Gwag, yeah. Gaming with a Garblag. We're doing that. When are we doing that? 30th? Yeah. 30th. That's Pathfinder 2. That's set in the World Mountain. Obviously, it's because it's Pathfinder, it's not quite how I'd want it to be, and this is more how I'd want it to be. But we'll get there. We'll get there. That's not a problem. Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got lots of windows open. Here we go. Fighter. What I want to do is, because this has got a lot of possibles, I like to copy that. The basic forms 1, because basically we've got basic forms 2. Here we go. You defeat 10 opponents in combat with weapons from the same group. Boom. First weapon group to reach 10 completes this deed. Upgrade your proficiency in the group used to a maximum of expert. There we go. So at level 2, so just take a step back for a moment. The fighter has got novice proficiency, and there's novice, expert, and master in simple weapon, simple melee, simple ranged, martial melee, martial ranged, and unarmed. They're not proficient in gunpowder, but because the fighter is so good in combat and so good with weapons, that's their whole thing. If they start using a gunpowder weapon, find one, start shooting and taking people down with it, then they can learn it, you know, by taking out 10 bad guys. They can get novice proficiency. If they got one of the other ones, that would make them an expert in that. So when they get to basic forms 2, it's effectively saying you can't upgrade beyond expert, so use some other weapons. And I think John actually helped me get to my list of weapon types, if I remember correctly. That's cool. So we've got basic forms. We've got too many of these in here. Delete table. There we go. So this next one is going to be bull-headed. Hopefully typing's not too loud. Let's make sure this is all okay. Tell you what, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Yep. Bull-headed. Do successfully. Because shove is going to be a... opponents in melee combat. Don't need to say melee because you can only shove opponents in melee combat, and that is gain the shield strike feat. Okay, and then we just do a little bold. Pop. Okay. Just thinking, they need a prerequisite deed for each of the things. So we're going to have, basically we're going to have stay fighter. So I'll do this, I'll change the names to be berserker. I will give them a different name eventually. Commander. Spaladin? No, Paladin. And then Ranger. Okay, so Ranger will need the targeteer. Is that right? Good eye. Good eye deed. Paladin, we need to think about that one. The commander will need the tactical expert deed. Berserker will require the strong arm. Is that the right one? Yeah, mighty blow. It's about doing criticals. Okay, obviously we need to change the content of those, but that's good. I need to think about the paladin. So it's kind of how, you know, I've got all these ideas for deeds, but then also I have this feeling of like there should be a deed that kind of leads you in the direction of one of the branches. Yeah, so shield strike, dual strike. I think that should be the defender one, actually. Meat shield. Maybe I'll rename that to something a bit more let's think of a name for meat shield that sounds a bit more virtuous, shall we, rather than I accidentally got smacked in the face lots. But for now, I'm going to put meat shield here. Because the paladin will be about defending people, helping people. The commander is about giving people extra... it's kind of like a combat bard, a bit like the warlord in D&D 4th edition. Which I've never played 4th edition, but if I got to play 4th edition, I would probably play a warlord because I think they sound cool. Just giving buffs, combat buffs and leadership buffs and bravery and that kind of stuff to people. It's kind of like a bardy fighter. kind of thing. The Berserker will rage. I never liked the fact that it's called a barbarian. Defend the meek. Love it. Love it, Lewis. Here we go. Defend the meek. Yes. Gotcha. And that fits in nicely. Here we go. Defend the meek. Cool. Excellent. Yes. Great. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking that the fighter might actually have special deeds that imbue their weapon with the import of their actions, so that that's their kind of thing. They become like a swordsman, you know, or what's the right word? Not duelist. That's the wrong word. But yeah, focused around a weapon. Whereas the others then sort of go off into other things, like the Berserker has rage and be like pain, damage reduction, natural damage reduction and stuff like that. Commander will be helping other people, positioning them, giving them maybe extra actions, or when someone else does something, you can do something, kind of thing. The Paladin will be protection and a certain amount of divine energy kind of leaking in there. And then the Ranger is going to be ranged combat and survivalist. Yep. So we can change these. Paladin. One with my sword, and my sword is with me. Exactly. Exactly. Love it. One with the blade. One with the blade. That's just an idea. I like to make little notes of these things in case they come in handy. And, you know, I want this to be like most people, and you see this a lot in things like Pathfinder and stuff like that. People start playing a character and they go, I've got my build to level 12. And you're like, I'm like, oh my God. When you let it kind of... they've spent all that time writing all their feats out they want to get all the way up to level 20 or whatever. And I'm like, kind of, okay. You know, you can do that in this, probably more than other things, but my hope is that there's kind of like an emergent, you know, story that comes out of it, and you kind of maybe note down. But the idea I'm having is that you have kind of character portfolios, not just a character sheet, but it would have all the deeds, fighter deeds in the fighter portfolio, and then you wouldn't have to be writing all this stuff down. You'd just be ticking it off, upgrading your proficiency numbers, adding on your special things, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Right. Anyway, sorry, going off on tangents all the time. That's me. Fine. Okay, cool. So we had basic forms: bull-headed, dual wielder. Right, defeat 8 opponents in melee combat while wielding 2 weapons. Now, if you wield 2 weapons, you get a bonus to your target class, a +1 to your target class, because you're slightly harder to hit in melee, that is. +1 target class in melee. And you get +1 damage. You don't get to make... You can, if you want to, attack with different weapons. But because you've got 2 weapons, whenever you make an attack, it's just assumed that you get a slightly better wangle in there. As long as you're proficient. Yeah? So you've got to be proficient. Now, what this will give you is gain the dual strike. Dual strike feat, which will mean you'll be able to do something cool. I still need to just figure that out a bit, and do 2 at the same time. Probably a bonus. Dual wielder, dual strike, cool. Or it may be something like you can spend a hit dice to, in one action, attack with both weapons. Something like that. You know, and the hit dice will come in as you go through. There'll be certain abilities you get, certain feats you have that are activated by hit dice. And they're going to be slightly more powerful because you won't have many hit dice to do these things. However, the party, and I'm thinking about a kind of party kind of deeds as well, goals. I think I'm going to have something around when you do a certain number of things, like certain after 2 battles, after 4 battles, after 6 battles, if you in a row, if you didn't sleep, you know, how do you encourage people to not just, like in D&D, you can just sit down and do a rest, a long rest or whatever, and get all your hit points back. You wouldn't actually, you know, like lie down in the middle of the dungeon necessarily unless you really had to. You know, if your torches ran out, you'd be dead. So it's kind of like, how do you give them a reward for continuing? And my thought around that is like, after your second battle of the day, you get like an adrenaline surge, and you can recover a hit dice or 1d6 hit points, something like that. And that that may just be a short rest. Maybe you can do that once in a day, a short rest. Like you can rest, but you can only do one short rest in a day that's any good, and that gives you 1 hit dice or 1d6 hit points back. You pick. When you do a full rest, then you get more back. I'm not sure. I'm having a think about that. So we had Good Eye in first level, and what was the one back here? Big target. I need to have a think about that one. Not first level, John. So John has asked, can a cleric spend a hit dice to improve their chance of a divine magic event, kind of like jumping the queue on a help desk? Not at first level, but beyond third level, the cleric will be able to call upon the power of their god, because clerics at first and second level, they don't know where their divine magic, the main source of their divine magic, comes from. They've got a bit of divine magic from everything, but they haven't decided. So when you're a cleric and you get to third level, you have to do your heroic deed, and you can choose to follow a particular god on your own, as you have a divine calling. You can realize it comes from a primal source, from the Verdants, which is one of the alien entities that crashed into the World Mountain back in the Age of Formation. You can realize that you have been given this power on behalf of the Alliance of Light against the forces of Chaos, Shadow and Undeath, and become a light bearer. Or you can realize that the divine energy kind of comes from inside and become a monk. Or you can realize that the divine energy, or slowly the divine energy turns into one that you kind of get replenished from an order, like a religious order, rather than the god directly. It kind of comes through the religious order. There's enough people in the religious order feeling in a certain way and generating that certain power, so you defend your order. With a fighter, so sorry, what I was going to say was, some of those types of clerics will be able to, some of them will do them for other things, but that will come after third level. All the really cool stuff comes after third level. All of this stuff in level 1 and 2 is kind of like beginning feats, where you might be able to spend a hit dice to add some damage, or you might get a +2 to one of your skills in a particular situation. None of the level 1 and 2 are groundbreaking, but they're useful, and they dictate where you're going from the... maybe I'll make that savage attack then, or something, rather than strong arm. Savage. Onslaught. There we go. Because if that ties in to the strong arm, sounds nice, doesn't it? Sounds, oh yes. Well done, old chap. You've got a strong arm there. Savage Onslaught is like, whoa. They're losing it a bit. Okay, dual wielder. I'm going to leave big target for now because I'm not 100% sure about that one. I think I need to come up with a new one. But that's okay. Let's leave a blank one. Tic-tac expert. Tactical expert. Oh, gain the combat senses feat. Yeah. I need to think about how that one works because I've changed the initiative system so that you instead of rolling initiative, it's an alternating system. However, there will be a roll off for surprise. So, and effectively what will happen is I say, right, it's combat. If you're not surprised, heroes go first. So, not all heroes. A hero goes first, then a villain, then a hero, then a villain, then a hero, then a villain. Basically, the party can work together to figure out who should go first, who should go second. And you can do things like, oh, my spell lasts longer if I go first in this turn and last in that turn. And things like that, which is fine. It's all part of the fun of it. But some weapons and some effects and things will say you cannot go first in the heroic order. So like a two-handed sword is going to be slow, and the slow trait means you can't go first. And the there'll be some things, like if you were to haste someone, you would become fast, and you may say you can't go last, just to emphasize the fact that you are sped up or you're using such a fast attack that you can't say you're going to go last. You have to go early on. So the behavior kind of mimics the fantasy of those abilities and those things. So your two-handed sword fighter is like, I'm ready. I'm building up. One of you guys do something. I'll come in and whack that guy in a minute. So that kind of thing. So I want to add a little bit of tactics into the combat that's not just based on like what spell you're using, but like how you organize people, rather than just kind of the randomness of rolling initiative. I want it to be up to the players, you know. And you could, but there are going to be some abilities, thief abilities mainly, where they'll say they get to go at the beginning before everyone else, and then it's still the hero's turn, that kind of thing. So I need to have a think about what tactical expert goal is, because I had it with an initiative score basis. So you have to roll a certain high initiative number in order to then tick that off and say, yeah, I'm going first. Maybe they have to go first in 8 battles. Act first in the heroic order of 8 battles. Well, I'll leave it like that for now. I'm going to put a question mark on that though, because I feel like it should be a little bit more involved in that, because that just means 8 battles later you've go first or last in 8 battles. Oh yeah. No, I like that. Yep, yeah, let's go for that. In the heroic order, in the heroic order of 8 battles. Gain the combat sense feat. Cool. Great. No, I think, Lewis, there's a delay. So I saw your comment and said go first or last because you'd written it, not because I thought of it before you. So there's the delay on YouTube. Sorry. Looks like I'm getting your good ideas before you've written them down. Okay. Right. And then what have we got then? Veteran. So this is your hit. There's got to be a hit dice. What's the word? Deed. A hit dice deed in each level because you need them to be able to juice up. Let's just grab all of that, although it's going to be different. It just saves me typing 30 words. Here we go. Survive 5 battles against multiple opponents. Make 5 successful saves. Because you're getting tougher. Gain the herbalist feat. That would be a weird goal for a herbalist feat. As if you're leading the battle, you're probably at last yourself. Yeah. Because either you're like, I've seen an opportunity and I'm going to strike, or you're like saying, no, guys, you do that. I'll come up and I'll make that decision. So yeah, first or last. It's going to be easy for a solo character. Right, gain. Here we go. Gain a hit die. There you go. So really, when I say there's 3, you got to get 3 deeds done in each level. Basically, what's going to happen is most people will say, right, I want if you're a fighter, probably, maybe not at this level because you might be focused. So you might go, right, at first level, I'm going to get basic forms. That's good. I'm going to get expert in my type of weapon. That's cool. I'm going to get hero in training. That's cool. Survive 5 battles. I get a hit die. Hit die is important because hit die lets me recover hit points and probably do stuff later. I don't know yet. I'm excited not to figure it all out right now. And then, depending on how you do in combat, you may find that, one of these happens and you go, oh, yeah, I did actually. I had to, we were across a ravine. I had to shoot some bad guys. And then we were on a chariot and I had to shoot some bad guys. And then, maybe I'm getting good at ranged weapons. Now, the thing is, you can choose not to focus on them, but they may just happen anyway, which I quite like the idea of. Because if you just people chase you and you have to run all your life, then you probably get good at running. But you didn't want to be a runner, Take the most damage in the party in 5 battles. That's probably going to be a fairly easy one to achieve, actually. So I might notch that up to 6. One of the big things that we're going to find out when we do the playtest starting next week is how, is 10 the right number? Is 5 the right number? Is it going to be really quick? Is it going to take a while? So that's kind of interesting. I'm interested in finding out how that goes. Cool. Bull-headed dual wielder. Tactical expert. At first or last. Yep, I like that. That's cool. Gain the combat sense feat. Nice. Survive 5 battles. So I might get my hit dice, my expert level weapon, and I might get defender or mighty blow. Or if I'm a ranged combatant, I'll be going simple ranged or martial ranged to get my longbow or heavy crossbow up to expert. Gain the targeteer feat to get a bonus when I aim, and then, as I said, the first level stuff's not the most amazing feats, but they are useful. What I want to do is try and have them build on each other rather than you kind of so they almost supersede each other. So you say, oh, with prayer, oh, when you do a blessing, it now does this. Oh, okay, right. So I've upgraded. Upgrade is more the word. Yeah. Cool. Right. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. We've got that, and that. Cool. I'm gonna fill in some of this stuff later, because this is like the fluff bit. You know, I mean, it's an action you have to do, like swear your life to for the cleric. This was swear your life to the worship of one god. Spend a day praying for their guidance alone. So you got to go and do something. It's like a downtime activity. There's something that happens. You know, I think one with the blade, the fighter. It may be that you have to. Oh, that's yeah. You might have to make a weapon or something. Feels a bit Jedi, but who knows. Berserker Commander. I'm gonna have a think about Berserker, especially. I'm not sure what kind of deed. Maybe you have to tear all your clothes off in combat and fight unarmored. I don't know. Just kidding, man. Go Kirk. Yeah, we'll see. Paladin will obviously have to swear themselves to a god. Ranger needs to go and find a druid circle and get sworn to defending the Verdants. So I'm thinking maybe I need something survivally based. Maybe a saving throw boost. That wouldn't be a bad one, because what do they get? They get death and evasion. They haven't got charm or spell, and they could upgrade one of those. So maybe upgrade your proficiency in one save. Sterner stuff. What was it called? What did it do in the cleric one? I think there was a cleric one, wasn't there? Divine resilience. Make 5 successful saves. Upgrade your proficiency in one save. Yeah. Make five successful saves. There you go. So we now have there you go. I think that'll do. I think I've got to remember all the elements of the character and what you might be putting up. You've got to think that the fighter will be resilient. So that saving throw, that save, is a good one to put in there. And rather calling it the same thing as the cleric one, because divine resilience works for them. Sterner stuff, I think, works for the fighter. Cool. Okay, that's good fun. Right, where are we? We've got the level 1 magic user deeds. Then we've got the thief. I need to change some of the text on the thief, but I thought it would be good to have a look over here. So the thief gets hadn't done all this yet. Novice in evasion and spell. Is that right, or is that what the magic user had? Charm and spell. No, evasion and spell. What have we got? Charm, death, evasion, and spell. Skills. Novice in what was it? Perception and thievery. Let me just sorry for all this scrolling, by the way. I know it must be a little hard on the eyes sometimes. So we had, yeah, perception and thievery were thief ones. And then I would say that influence, dungeoneering, athletics. Yeah, athletics, dungeoneering, influence. Oh. Craft, yeah. See, they get an extra skill. Athletics, craft, dungeoneering. Delete those. Influence. Or this is silly. Where's my? I actually had this image saved. Here we go. Athletics, craft, dungeoneering, law. That was the other one. Oh no. Or influence, yeah. Or influence. Or influence. Why is that doing that? Okay, let's slide. Okay, well I'll sort that out. I'll sort that out later. Let's just go back to the thievery. +1 of athletics, craft, dungeoneering, or influence. Right. Weapons, novice in simple melee, simple ranged, and unarmed. Cool. Nothing crazy. Cool. Okay. Does hanging a two-handed weapon make it harder to be a tactical genius if you can't go first because you're a slow person to pick the right time to strike? Yeah. Yes, John, that's a good question. Does having a two-handed weapon make it harder to be a tactical genius? If you can't go first because you're a slow person, does that make it harder to pick the right time to strike? I think it's a good question, and I think yes is the answer. Okay, which may not be what you're looking for. No, that's just not going to play ball. Just going to have to set that up in a minute. See, it's 'cause it's, yeah, anyway. Okay, cool. Right, so the first class feat is Elusive Shift, named after a recent book about D&D. But also it sounded good for getting out of the way of stuff. You have an amazing ability to evade, harm, and be in another location at just the right moment. Or maybe I should put and be in the wrong location, the wrong place at the right time. The right place at the right time. Right. So action 1 or reaction, spend a hit die. Effect, roll 1d6 and add the result to your target class and evasion save for a number of minutes equal to your level. Special. This may be used as a reaction to boost a failed evasion save or to increase your TC on a successful attack, changing the outcome. So if someone hits you, haha, your target class is 15, I rolled a 16. You can go, I'm going to use Elusive Shift, drop a hit die, roll a d6. There you go. You missed. Haha. You thought you were going to hit me, but you didn't. I'm a thief. I'm cunning and swift. Then our next one is going to be a sneak attack. Sneak attack. Surprise attack. Sneak attack? What do we call it? What should we call it? Where's my notes? Here we go. I had written down backstab, but I think that is a bit old school, a bit too old school. I'm going to call it a sneak attack. Strike from the shadows, or when an opponent least expects it. Action 1, attack an opponent that is unaware of your presence. Yeah, you attack. If the attack is successful, roll 1d6 and add result to the damage the attack. There we go. So oh, there's a trailer out for the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I saw a video billboard ad where they were all doing slow-mo poses with weapons, and I thought, oh, looks cheesy, but someone's saying it doesn't look too bad. McNeil's, yeah, cool. Okay. So I think this is going pretty well. So we got that. We got sneak attack. You attack an opponent that's unaware of your presence. So you have to sneak up on them. That's what it's saying. Or you've spotted a guard who hasn't seen you. You can shoot them. Once you shoot them, they will become aware of your presence. They may not know exactly where you are, but they are then on guard. So this is kind of how sneak attacks will work in my game. Yeah. So it's not just when you have like in D&D 5th edition, when you have advantage on a target, and that can be any target, you know, that could be from anything. You get a bonus to your damage, which I get, but I want that to develop over time. The sneak attack at the beginning is like, I'm crafty, I've waited, you haven't seen me, bang, you've walked past my position, stab. Or, you know, you're so busy fighting the other guy, I've walked up behind you and you haven't known I'm there, I'm going to stab you. Or, like I said, you see a patrolling guard and you're like, shoot an arrow, do that extra damage, try to take them out. Cool. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's cool. Then we've got level 1 deeds. I think we need to say level 1 thief deeds. And this is cool because this is going to be Simon's character, who got voted by our patrons to be the thief in our game. I think we should have I can insert a little bit of artwork in here, couldn't I? I could have a little blade or so. Oh, maybe I'll put it under here. There you go. I like to do a little bit of layout while I'm doing it, because it's just fun. I like trying to make it look sort of, well, what I think looks nice. May not, people may not agree with me. Let's have a look. Where are we? We've got some art. We've got some art. Have we got a stabby? All the knives are a bit sci-fi. Okay. We shall. Oh yeah, let's have a. whack that in there. And then what we can do. Oh, that's the wrong one. Not that one. That one. My weapons array. Stuff have furnished me with a nice array of weapons. I think. You know what? I might just put this cruel-looking club in. I know that's kind of slightly post-apoc, but for now it'll do. I'm going to get some more images and things. Oh, it's slightly not. You know what? It's slightly not. Just images are always a bit pixelated in InDesign. Makes me always think, oh my god, it's not very good. But then when you open it up, Infinite Hobbies. Not sure if it's been mentioned, but the D&D movie I just mentioned it. The D&D movie trailer has dropped. That's where everyone is. They're watching that obviously for the whole stream. I'm going to go and check it out soon. I'm not going to check it out right now because obviously I'm streaming. Okay, cool. So, level 1 Thief Deeds. We're going to have a look at this. So, we need a hit dice one. And that, now what I'm not trying to do, looks fun. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing it. I'm surprised, Chris Pine is in it. I think maybe we'll see. I think he's playing a bard because he's got like a guitar, a mandolin, I should say, or a lute or something that he's playing at the beginning of this thing, and it looked like he's a bard. Is it Michelle Rodriguez? She's a barbarian. Renee Bridgerton is a paladin, and then there's a sorcerer and a druid who's got a kind of wrist catapult that fires teeth, something like that. So it's quite cool. You never just get a fighter, a cleric, a magic user, and a thief. There's always a paladin, a bard, a druid, and a sorcerer. Right, one thing I'm doing with my little magician in training and veteran in training and all that kind of stuff, I'm stealing level titles from the older versions of D&D. So in the old box sets, where are we? Actually, hang on. I wonder if they had them in here as well. Oh, they do. They do. AD&D First Edition. Wow, there's a dated artifact if ever there was one. Here we go. Acolyte, Adept. Yep, we've got those. Fighter, Veteran, and Warrior. What did I have? We had Hero in training. Ooh, and then there you go. In training is just the shorthand for this is the hit die deed. So we're looking for thieves, aren't we? Let's go thief. Here we go, thief. I need something a bit more daggery, stabby for that weapon on there. But for now, a cruel cudgel, like a thug style weapon, will do for me. Let's have a look. Thief. Level 1, rogue. There we go. People were saying, oh, you should call them rogues. And I don't know, I just like thief. Because it's a bit more like, I suppose it has more of an old school kind of flavour to it. But I'm thinking like who you send into a dungeon, you send into the enemy's castle. You know, you need a thief. It's a bit like Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, where there's like, we want a burglar. You know, they call him a burglar, which isn't necessarily the nicest of titles. So we're going to have rogue in training, yeah, and then I'm going to have, and this is how I kind of do it, I kind of name things as what I want them to do, and then have a think about their cool names and the goals involved and their rewards. So we're going to have a they're not going to get weapon stuff until level 2 with thieves. So what I'm actually going to do before I go much further is I'm going to copy the fighter level 2, and then we're going to come in, oh no, we're going to duplicate it, there we go, and then what we need to do is find our thief page again, yep, there we go, and then drag that up in between there, and then we've got our level 2 thief deeds, and we'll have our thief heroic deeds. Cool. So they're going to have basic forms 1 in level 2. So they will be able to get better with weapons at level 2. Here we go. Where are we? Cool. So we won't have basic defense. We're going to have a tumbling one, which is basically going to allow them to move further without provoking an attack of opportunity. But that will be, I think that's going to be gain the tumbling feat. Yeah. And then we're going to have them make successful disengage actions. So they get, as they disengage more, which is like a full action to get away without provoking an attack of opportunity, but you can only step 5, then you can do that a number of times, and then you get the tumbling feat, which will allow you to take a full move without provoking an attack of opportunity, like maybe with a roll. I don't know. A bit loath to add rolls onto feats to make them successful, because it feels like a little barrier to fun. Do you know what I mean? It's like if all of the players' feats require you to roll a DC 15 check, then what if they fail them all? But at the same time, I don't want everything to just be a pushover. So we'll see. Make 6 disengage actions in combat. Well, I'm going to say in combat because you have to be in melee to disengage from anyone, so you don't need to say melee combat. But I do want to say combat because then you can't just right. So tumbling, and what we're gonna call that tuck and roll, penitent man, sidestep, cartwheel. Was Lewis there? I'll come up with a name. I've got to think of these. Think of the little titles. Sometimes it can take me a little while. So rogue in training, we're going to have 5 battles against multiple opponents, and we're going to have make they're going to have to make thievery skill checks. There's going to be 5 of them. That's going to be easier to do, and with these skill checks, it's going to be a case that they have to be. They're not just like, oh, I'm going to go and pick a lock. It has to be an important moment or part of the story or part of the adventure, not just I'm going to go and stand in a doorway and pick locks till my thievery goes up. That's cool. So we've got that's cool. Gain a hit die, tumbling feet, 6 disengage actions. In combat, good. We're gonna have a Lightfoot. Make 8 successful thievery, stealth, skill checks. Getting the footpad feet. Basically, sneaking. So you're going to get a bonus to sneaking. That's cool. We don't need inner eye. In fact, I need to revise the magic user slightly. Sneaking. See, in here, right? So if you make a successful thievery skill check, you can't tick 2 circles with it. You have to pick which one of those it's going to. So these, a lot of their stuff to begin with will be about learning their trade so they can get better, and then they'll get a load of cool things. Hiding in plain sight, disguise, and all these other things will start to come in, probably in level 2 a little bit, but then more when you kind of specialize into the different branches of thief. What else have we got? We've got a kind of evaluation one. I feel like craft evaluate, I think, where they can know the price of things and know the worth of things, and even, I think, make a craft evaluate roll instead of an arcane item roll, because they'll be able to see if something is magical from its quality. So I think that could be useful. I'm thinking, if a party doesn't have a magic user, then that could help. And then we're going to have fast talker. Gain the lather feat. What I've also been doing is kind of pinching the odd flavor thing from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Some of the names and skills and titles are pretty good. So one of the backgrounds I've got is Rat Catcher. I've got Trade Farmer in there, just for Simon. And a few other things. I was going to call some magic petty magic, but then I thought it doesn't quite translate properly. I always like the idea of the petty magic, and then the battle I particularly like first edition Wolfram magic more than the later ones. I know all the colours and stuff, that's how it all went. I like the early one where you had elementalist, illusionist, demonologist. That was pretty cool, and you had magic points, stuff like that. And although I'm not going into magic points, kind of doing a magic point resource by saying you got to spend a hit die to do a spell for a magic user, or use a runic item, and those effectively become your points. So you'll need writing supplies, your consumer writing supply, spend 10 minutes, I think it's 10 minutes, and then you pick what form of the spell you want to do, whether it's action 1, action 2, action 3, and then you scribe that onto a scroll. And all magic users can do that. I like the idea of scrolls. I like the in a lot of those kind of dungeon crawl computer games, you often have lots of scrolls involved. Remember the old Dungeon Master game from FTL? had all the little scrolls you found, and they had the names of the spells on, and that's how you learnt what the spells were. I really like that. And I thought, like, scribing things and magic item creation has never really captured me in any of the other versions of D&D. So I wanted to kind of make it a bit more interesting in this. So as I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, the two types of magic item with the divine and the the magic and the runic being from divine or arcane magic. I think that could kind of flow through in other places. But yeah, anyway, I digress once more. Where are we? Add a first circle. I don't need that. I'm going to change that. Let's get rid of that stuff there. So cool. Okay. I'm starting to get there. And then we're going to have a traps one. Yeah. And I'll figure out what they're called later. But that's cool. So we're starting to get there. We've got Thief Deeds, level 1 Thief Deeds lined up. Fast Talker. I think it's going to be make 8 successful influence, and they can get that skill at the beginning. Yep. Bluff. I think just influence skill checks. You know what? I think they're slightly bigger font. So let's whack those bad boys in there. There we go. Gain the bladder fleet. Yeah. Influence skill checks. Cool. So that is so a thief deed won't upgrade your skill proficiency. What it will do is it will give you a boost on a specialty. So this blather feat will say pick one specialty of influence, gain +2 to skill checks for that specialty. Yeah, sidestep. I think I'm going to call it sidestep. Yeah. And then we'll call it I may interchange those. I may call it tumbling. But we'll see. Right, so that's good. That one's good. Those bottom 2 are good. So we've got 4 out of 6 there. The evaluation one, I want the idea that thieves are good at looking at things, figuring out what they are. This leads on also to the inventor, which will be one of the branches. So we're going to have, might be worth writing these over here actually. Bard, Dungeoneer, oh, my brain doesn't work very well late at night. Here we go. Assassin, that was it. Assassin. Yes. The assassin. He'll level 2, he'll have the combat skill. Yep. So basically the idea is that thieves kind of specialize based on a gap in their party most of the time, because they're like brought along to do the crap that no one else wants to do. The dark deeds, not always heroic deeds. Extrication. Oh, now he's getting sexy with his wordplay. Right, so we're going to have Stay Thief, Assassin, Bard, Dungeoneer, Inventor. So I need to think about those as a journey and where we're going with those. So that's cool. Dungeoneer will be traps. I might call that Mechanical Genius. disable device feat. So I want to throw in some of those words. What was I going to call that? That's just completely gone out of my head. Oh, mechanical genius. No, that's more. Sounds more inventor, doesn't it? Mechanical genius. The dungeoneer is the guy who's going to go and find the, you know, tomb robber. I don't know. Let's have a think. Evaluation. Praiser's eye. Yeah. Here we go. Make 8 successful craft. Evaluate skill checks. Delete that. Gain the... Now, I just want to check the skill again. Apologies for the scrolling. This is where I need to print everything off a bit more. Craft, appraise. Yep. Basically, you know what quality of things are if you're good at building things. Appraiser's eye. Craft appraise. Gain the evaluate feat. There we go. Okay, Appraiser's eye. Fast talker. Lightfoot. Disable device. So basically, the thief at first level will start to get bonuses on certain skill checks. The thief is based around skills and will be really good. The beekeeping. Oh dear. Let's not talk about bees. Bees. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Steady hands. Make. I'm going to 6 successful dungeoneering traps skill checks. Okay. Steady hands, sidestep, rogue in training. Cool. So now what we need to do is get them in alphabetical order. Yep. And then this one can come out and go here. Cool. Right, so I now technically have deeds for level 1 of all 4 classes, so we're ready to play heroic deeds on next Thursday, which is cool. So a thief can get good at evaluating things, talking to people, sneaking around, getting in and out of danger, and disabling traps. I think that works. I think that's good. The thief will be the useful person in the party. Cool. Okay, I'm not going to do level 2 thief deeds now. And I'm not going to do thief heroic deeds right now. I've got them lined up. We'll have a think. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give each of the players effectively this page for their class so that they can print it out. It's got their starting feats, and then they can colour in the circles. And it's going to be a really interesting test to see how long it takes people to, level up, figure things out, and generally get to level 2. I think it'll be really, really interesting. Cool. Okay, right. It's now 11 o'clock. Oh, okay. Getting a little bit late. Making progress though. That's cool. Let's take a little break from that. And let's go. Not combat, not trappings. Back to guard forces. Dark Verdance creatures. I need a creature or two for next week. Okay, I'm not going to write any fluff tonight, but I am going to make the Barbed Sturge. This is going to be a minion Dark Verdance creature. What do you see the maximum level being in Heroic Deeds? 10. That's what I'm going for now. I'm just going to make a game that goes to level 10. I rarely ever play a game of Dungeons and Dragons that goes over level 10. I'm not going to like ramp the power like level 20 to level 10. It's still going to feel fairly level 10, maybe a little bit more at level 10. So that there's the option. There's the option for future stuff. Because I want to kickstart this game, you know, I want to get it out there. That's why I'm writing this PDF to share it with people for free. You know, we've got 35 pages here. There's still combat stuff to write, although I've got 2 pages in there for combat. Got a bit of combat to write in there. I've got magic user spells to do for first level. I've got more equipment to do. Trappings, like I prefer the word trappings. And then a short scenario on the end. A little adventure. Couple of encounters. Well, the Dark Verdance fluff, I'm not going to write it now because I'm getting a bit tired. But the Dark Verdance is basically... The Verdance was an entity or a power, a thing, a singularity... that crashed into the World Mountain on the Glorim level and in effect created all the plants on the World Mountain. And Glorim is like verdant beyond belief. It's like the Feywild, it's like the Beastlands in Planescape, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's lush vegetation everywhere. You know, thick forests and jungles and all this kind of stuff. Lots of animals, lots of creatures. The elves were born of the Verdance, so they're not... So elves, basically all the species in this are kind of like, not all of them, but they're all kind of alien from each... Aliens. Not just, oh, you know, the orcs used to be elves. There's none, you know, there's none of that. The elves are like born of the Verdance and have, you know, like a nature element to them. There's leaves growing in their hair. Their veins look slightly green under their skin. You know, the hobgoblins were born of Oku's emergence, arrival in Udril, which is the Underdark. So these creatures were... Life was created by the impact of these powers into one another. So when they slammed into Ondrum, because Ondrum is the World Mountain and is a power itself, the force of that collision kind of created life. And in the age of formation, life was being created every time something kind of smashed into the World Mountain. So when Throx smashed into the World Mountain, when Oku, when the Verdance, all these things created these other groups of life. Ondrum had already made the dwarves, and the dwarves have made the humans and the Jotun. And then things started happening, so they were like not interbreeding between them, but magical mutation. So gnomes are basically the dwarves that hung around on Glorim too long, and the Verdants changed them. They are now no longer dwarves, they are gnomes. So there's all this kind of thing going on. Now the Verdants is positive generally, although sometimes in a suffocating way. So if you've seen the movie The Fountain, I really like that film. Some really cool imagery, but I love the bit where he has the fountain of youth at the end. Is it the sap from the tree or whatever? And he's got the wound, and then a plants start to grow out of it and stuff, and then he gets consumed by plants. It's really cool. That kind of imagery, of life just bursting forth, is kind of like the good side of Glorim. The problem is Jean, another one of these entities, kind of impacted late in the Age of Formation when the Verdants had spread across Glorim. In that area, kind of a dark undeath mutation of plant life and other life. So this is where undead creatures come from, and like the horrible giant spiders and all this kind of stuff. And Oku arrived, and you get shadow creatures and tentacular horrors and all that kind of stuff. Shadow portals and all these kinds of things. Now those two forces, Jean and Oku, have overlapped with the Verdants more than Throx. Throx is down in Zadumir, not really getting out of there yet because the Mechanolith protects the lower level of the World Mountain. But the other powers have all overlapped, and sometimes, in a bad way, you'll get, as I spoke about, the divine power kind of overlaps and you get these locus or loci. This can happen with a negative effect, so creatures can have a convergence of Verdants and dark powers within them, and they become like horrible abominations with pustules and sacs that spit bile, or barbs that fire out of their bodies, or spores that spray out and infect you, and all kinds of stuff like that. They are gross and horrible, and somewhere between, I always think of like Jason the Wheeled Warriors, but they're not vehicles, but it's like somewhere between Nurgle and was it Sawboss? So that's kind of what the Dark Verdance is. It's not nice, and it's gross, basically. And the Barbed Sturge, the Sturge has always been a classic entry-level D&D monster. The little flying dude that would latch onto you and start sucking blood out of you. But what I wanted to have was like a flying creature that spat thorny barbs at you, and therefore was like a minor nuisance. But it's a minion, so minions in my game come in batches of 3. So when you come across minions, there are 3 of them. There might be more than one set of 3. And in the combat initiative order, a group of minions all act at the same time, right? But they're weak. They have 1 hit point. They might have damage reduction, so you might not kill them with 1 attack, depending on what you roll. Because damage reduction can reduce damage to 0. I had this conversation a little while ago. They generally have a lower attack modifier, and they have a set damage number, so that they're easy to run. Yeah, and they are they're not super powerful. So they do 1, 2, or 3 points of damage. Yeah, based on what they're like. Now the special rule of minion, as I said, is they can all go at the same time. Flying, shooting, enemy skirmishes sounds like they could be very dangerous. They could be very dangerous. However, these things are kind of bloated, hovering things that aren't very fast, and their flying is very limited to effectively they can move around the battlefield without interacting with terrain, and they are going to have so they're going to have like a barbed thorn. It's going to have a range of 25, 5. No, sorry, 36. So range is done in feet and squares, so it's easy for you to know. So these Barbed Sturges will come in groups of 3. They have a +1 to hit, and they do 1 point of damage. However, yeah, like giant mutated flies that spit barbs at you. So like rows, like thorns on a bush. You know, imagine this thing, it's flying along, and it's got bloated body, and it's got plant life growing out of it, and every now and then it kind of wheezes, sucks a thorn through, and then spits it at you. They're not very nice. They're not very fast moving, so I'm going to slow them down a little bit. Yep. And they're going to have -1 to strength because they're not very strong. They're going to have dex, they're going to have con, they're going to have -1 intelligence, and I mean -2 charisma. So their target class will be 12 plus their dex modifier plus any unarmored proficiency, because they're not going to have armored. Would they have unarmored proficiency as a creature? I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say that's their 1 saving grace. They are +1 to their TC, so they've got 14 target class. So you've got to roll 14 or more to hit them. Starting character will probably have a +4 to hit, so you're going to hit them half the time. Yeah. And as long as you do 2 points of damage, because it's going to have DR1, because their roots and stuff in their body mean that they have some resilience. They're going to have, what's their wisdom is nothing, so +1 perception. Their athletics is nothing, so they've got perception of +1. Trappings, they wouldn't have trappings, would they? I'm not even going to put trappings. See, I'm going to trim down their stat block to just that. But one thing they are going to have is all creatures have like a oh sorry, got ahead of myself. Minions. So minions, they're going to be 3 Barbed Sturges. When you say, oh, I've got Barbed Sturge, right, there's 3 of them. Okay. What can happen on their turn? They all activate at the same time. So you have a hero go, and then it's the villains go. Right, you could pick a normal guy, or you could pick a cluster of minions. That cluster of minions can do one of 2 things. They can either perform individual attacks or a group attack. If they do a group attack, you do basically their weapon attack on one target, but they get a +1 to hit and damage for every other minion that added on. Yeah. So like in like the Star Wars minion rules, you know, the number of minions you had added to the dice that you roll to do your attack. Yeah. They're animals or sentient? They're just animals. They're like plant animals. They're weird, gross little flappy things with spitting a thing. They're not sentient. These things are just, that's why their motivation is survival, because they're just they're not, you know. However, I feel like they're going to have some kind of horrible splurge or rapid fire or some. I think they might have a bursting. Yeah, let's burst. Let's burst them. A Barbed Sturge's body is filled with gas. Is prone to bursting. Prone to bursting. It's filled with a rancid gas. Reaction. The Barbed Sturge is killed. Here we go. Effect. Hang on. Ruptures. Spearing barbs in random directions. Okay. Every creature within 2 of the Sturge must make a DC. Wait, it's going to make it too hard. 13 plus 14 evasion save or take 1d4 points of piercing damage. There you go. So the idea with the minions is that they are not super deadly. Like if a magic user went up against a cluster of barbed sturges, that would be dangerous. Yeah, fair enough. But they could probably take them out with an action 3 magic missile spell. Yeah, take them down, as long as they didn't roll badly and their DR saved them. And this isn't exactly a difficult save to make if you think about some of them have got evasion. I don't know, is that maybe too high? I don't know, we'll find out. We'll find out next Thursday. Because I'm going to have some Barbed Sturges coming at the party. Because I think that would be fun. Cool. Okay, so that's creating a little creature. I need to remove that. Doesn't have that, and it's only a plus. Oh no, it's got +1 con. So yeah, death. So I assume with minions and 1 hit dice creatures that they'll have anything that they have proficiency in. They get a +1, and then they get their stat, their attribute on top. If they're higher, second 2, 3, 4 hit dice, then I need to have a think about what their attributes are and what their saves are. What I'm thinking of doing is creating templates. So you can say this is a warrior template for hit dice 1, 2, 3. This is this is a scavenger. This is a striker. This is a, and you can have those kinds of roles. That you can say, oh, if you want someone who's sneaky, then this is the kind of stat block, or 2 hit dice, okay, slightly higher. And then you can flavour it and give it stuff. But there's going to be plenty of monsters. I mean, if you look, we've already got a load of Braktagar forces, which basically can allow you to substitute for like roving brigands and stuff like that. This guy's pretty tough for a... That's what I needed to change, actually. This guy needs to go down to +1 and 1. Yeah. And then this guy needs to be +2. There we go. That's better. because that was too much damage. Make a range attack on most about to hit in either order. Yeah, the Roving Brigand, if you shoot at the Roving Brigand and miss, it turns around and shoots back at you. It won't do much damage, but the whole point is to create these interesting creatures that each have something special about them, something fun, interesting. The Grunt, Vicious Grunt, has got a shield block, so he can raise his shield to absorb up to 10 damage from an attack. The shield is lost, so that's like, that'll save me once. You know, while he's got the shield, he's got DR3. So even though he's a minion, you're gonna have to hit him, you know, fairly hard to take him down. Yeah, but once that shield's gone, and his DR's just 2, 3 points of damage will kill him. You know, a magic user could do that. He's only TC 13, so we're going to see how all the values work and how the combats go. The bonus numbers aren't as high as some things like Pathfinder and stuff like that. So I think we've got like a more of a 5e scale rather than a Pathfinder 2. Well, it's probably Pathfinder 2 doing the proficiency without level rules, effectively, kind of. So we're going to see how the combat goes, and yeah. So we've got some monsters, we've got Dark Verdants, we've got Braktagar, so I'm good there. We've got armor and weapons are starting to take shape, so that's cool. It's really all that we'll need for the game, because we can kind of, the other bits we can kind of say, yeah, you got some rope or whatever and that kind of thing. Combat, I'm going to keep simple. It's going to be lists of actions and a description of initiative, that kind of thing. But I'm getting there. We're getting close. We're getting close to a full document. What I then need to do is talk to Mustafa about the two. We've got Karen, the human thief. She's an apprentice of the Skeleton Key, which is a guild in Morastabar, big trade city. And then we also need to get image of Volmat, dwarf cleric, who was a teacher of the Earthbound Order, and Volmat is actually going to not feature but be part of the story of the game, because the village or town is kind of like a halfway between. It's called Volmat's Hold, and it's a village that grew up around where some previous adventurers settled down in a strategic point, and this dwarf created a little fort. It's more of a tower, you know, and a temple to Ondrum, and then a village grew up around it. And this place, Volmat's Hold, is going to be the starting location for our game. So it's going to be fun. Let me see how we do here. So yeah, I think that was probably one of the more productive dev streams I've done. That was pretty good. I think got quite a bit done there. So I'm pleased with that. I need to write some more fluff, and I think we will get there eventually. You know, it'll be fine. Let's have a look. Video capturing device. Sorry, just there we go. Transform. Bit screen. Okay, cool. Right, well, that has been a good couple of hours of streaming our stuff there. Oh, that did work there. Oh, I can't actually. Oh, that's weird. Cool. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. Hopefully you enjoyed that and found it useful as a little prelude to next week's game that will be starting. This week, what else have we got? We've got I think there's a show on tonight, but I'm not sure what they're doing in North America. Matt needs to update the schedule. And then tomorrow, Lewis will be on doing the finale, the second part of the finale for the oh, hello Leon, just got here. For the Monster of the Week series, so that's tomorrow. Yes, Leon, you missed it all. It's 11:30. Stream started at 9. I was actually pretty much on time. So yeah, so there's some good stuff going on. I'm just laying out the issue 3 of Gartopia, which is our zine that we're publishing each month for our patrons of the Adventurer tier and above. And this month we're working on Astral. We've got some cool stuff in the works. Where are we? Hang on, let me see if I can find that file, and then I can maybe do a couple of spoilers. What have we got? We've got the Gilded Ivory Tower. We've got the Echoed Whispers. And we've got the Titan. And then we've got also, Ben has done some wonderful D12 tables. I think Lewis also snuck in some D12 tables. So it's going to be D12-tastic, which is fine by me. And then next week we've got the usual run of the week. We've got Alien on Tuesday. We've got a Watatau on Wednesday because Jim's back from his hollybobs. On Thursday we'll have Heroic Deeds here on YouTube, followed by more North American shenanigans of Starfinder, Pathfinder, or Uchtung Cthulhu. Oh no, I think they finished Uchtung Cthulhu. We'll check in with them, and then I'm not sure if we've got another thing next Friday, but we shall see. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a lot of fun tonight, and I will see you all very, very soon.